Transitions are the special effects used by movie editors to make the overall passing of focus on scenes go smoothly and effectively. A transition can signify the end of a moment, sequence, or even the movie. This video has been made to go through some of these transitions and to explain where you can use them and why. There are more than one types of editing, which one of the main examples being that of classic continuity editing. With this type of editing, the name of the shooting between two people is called shot reverse shot and eyeline match. This is due to the positions of the two people needing to remain the same, no matter the position of the camera. If someone is on the right side of the frame facing to the left, they must stay like that even if the camera is switched. A better way to explain this is using the 180-degree rule. This rule entails that if continuity is set up by a wide shot, then once a close-up camera is set up, the camera needs to remain in that 180-degree radius. This will mean that the orientation of the scene does not become confusing and will not cause the continuity to be ruined. Additionally, you must be mindful of the 30-degree rule. Opposite to the 180-degree rule, which says that the camera must not move more than 180 degrees from its original position, the 30-degree rule means that the camera needs to move at least 30 degrees so that jump cuts are not mistakenly created. Match on action is a technique that allows the action from one shot to be retained in another shot by continuing the action performed at a different angle or shot. It means that an action shot will not be disrupted if you change to a different camera. The use of this technique proves to be useful in many action scenes or other dramatic moments, as it allows a different perspective on the scene without risking loss. The Matrix is likely the best example for this, as it has many scenes which uses this technique. A dissolve is a transition that can be used to fade out one scene as it ends, but concurrently fades in a scene as it starts, which has many uses. For example, it can signify a change in time and or space, showing that a moment has changed without straight out telling the audience that it has. It may also be used for motion and continuity, possibly comparing one object with another by blending them together as they either start or end. Citizen Kane uses this transition in an important scene change, showing its value. A fade in or out is another transition which can be used to represent closure. It shows that a scene/sequence has ended and is either going to start another sequence or end the movie. Whilst the fade will gracefully start a sequence, a fade out allows it to end with no errors. It acts like a chapter in a story has ended, which represents completeness and shows progress through the story the movie is telling. This is represented as the scene either appears or disappears from black or white. Standoff, a student film me and a few friends of mine created, uses this technique at the end, showing that the film has ended. Similar in ways to the fade, the wipe also signifies completeness. A scene is slid off in a certain direction as it reveals another scene that is occurring. It may show a change in time, but mostly it is for a change in location, revealing a different area and characters. The symbolism of the wipe is similar to that of the fade, as it represents a turning of the page as a new scene is started to replace the old. Star Wars used this transition many times throughout the film. The final transition for the classic continuity editing style is the match cut. Likely the most complicated transition to understand, yet likely the easiest to perform. This transition is where a cut separates two scenes which each have a certain topic that the camera is focused on. This transition may be used to give certain messages through just the transition, possibly comparing the two scenes/topics. 2001: A Space Odyssey uses this transition quite early on to compare a tool used by an ape to that of a spaceship. Moving on, there is also another type of editing simply called alternative editing. These styles tend to not follow the same point of classic continuity, since they do not care about making the space the audience sees in a scene believable. However, they are still able to manipulate the audience, suspending their belief. A montage is a type of technique where seemingly unconnected shots are connected to make a coherent sequence, even if the shots used are only a second long. The connection of these shots displays a message that the audience may be able to piece together, in spite of the fact that the shots may not even be in the same location. Additionally, this can also be aided by a scripted voiceover, which may explain a montage. The start of the movie Hot Fuzz is a good example of this, as it explains Simon Pegg's character in less than a minute. A good example of alternative editing is new wave editing, which is when the editing done in a movie is deliberately obvious to the audience and makes it clear that this is unrealistic. The continuity is all scrapped to create this effect, which still makes the movie watchable and may even make the movie as good as it is. La Nouvelle Vague are some of the more well-known movie editors who practice this editing form, which revolutionised editing all around the world.
Might surprise you. Oh, wait.
Superimposition is when two images, one larger than the other, are placed on the frame at the same time but with one overlay in the other. This allows the frame to show two different scenes with it being obvious that the audience should be paying attention to, but also causing them to switch their focus. A good example of this technique is that of YouTube Let's Play videos, which may involve a YouTuber using a face cam to allow the audience to see their reactions towards the bigger image. Similar to superimposition, split screen is once again where two images are on the frame at the same time, but they are both the same size. This allows the audience to see two perspectives at the same time, which may involve two people's point of views, or even in some cases, where the character expected to happen and what actually happens. Temporal effects are the effects that either slow down or speed up time. With speeding up a scene, it means that a large amount of information may be given in a short amount of time. This can run simultaneously with montages, as a long scene can be reduced slightly by speeding it up. It can also be used for comedic effects, allowing unrealistic movements to be performed with little consequence. The Benny Hill Show is a good example of this. On the other hand, slowing down a scene has its own uses. It is where a scene is slowed down to make a scene longer than it originally was. This has many uses, such as the fact that it means a scene which may not allow an audience to appreciate the details of a scene can be slowed down to allow these details to be more focused on. Special effects may also be used in a better light because of this. The film 300 uses this effect in fight scenes. Freeze frames are used to stop on a certain moment which may have more significance than originally shown. It may also allow the movie to stop and explain something which may not have the ability to be shown through visual. Because of this, a voiceover normally accompanies a freeze frame explaining the movie. Goodfellas is a good example of a movie which uses this technique.
Was out of respect.
If a movie doesn't use cutting in a scene, it may be another technique which has several uses. Using this technique may make an audience have to completely focus on a scene, as important information may be given during it. It may also be used to make a scene feel claustrophobic due to the lack of space it has. Visual effects may also be used to represent certain messages. The visual effects tend to be done so that it is obviously not part of the movie, but may add something to it to show something. This may include an obvious drug sequence or to show a character mentally finding something. A good example of this is the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which uses certain symbols and words to create an atmosphere similar to a game. However, the best way to fully show the full extent of these editing techniques is to create a film to show the best ways how to use the many transitions and techniques we have gone over.
I'm sorry about me.
Because of this, using the director mode of GTA 5, I have created a short story to be able to use these editing techniques and show certain messages with them. First shown are the 180 and 30 degree rules. You can see that the overall space between the two characters remain the same, and that even though the positions of the camera is changed throughout, they keep true to the rules. Shown next is match on action. You can see that even though the camera changes throughout the scene, certain moments are matched correctly to make the changes of the camera flow more correctly. This makes the scene stand out more. Both the dissolve and match cut transition can be used here, as they both signify a connection between the TV and the large billboard in the movie lot. It compares the older way of entertainment with the newer way, showing that they are more similar than people believe. Fade in is used here, which allows the scene to move in gracefully and shows that a new sequence has started. It could mean that this is either the beginning of the movie or the start of a new chapter. Fade out is used here, which allows the scene to end with style. It shows that the sequence has officially ended and may signify an ending to the movie or chapter. It represents closure and shows that the loose ends may be tied up. In this scene, a wipe is used to move on to the next scene. This shows that a change in location has been made and that a page within the movie has been turned, signifying a new pace within the movie that may explore a new subject. A montage can be used to give a large amount of information in only a few seconds. In this montage, it shows Michael's daily routine, which may even be repeated to show a repetitiveness with his life. Just that could explain a possible plot within the movie. In this scene, a superimposition is used to show that Michael is late for work. Whilst the major focus is on Michael's boss about to enter his office, it also shows that Michael's still driving to work. A split screen is used here to show both characters are focused at the same time, which will lead to both being seen by the audience. It allows a shorter run period opposed to the normally used jump cuts. Additionally, notice how whilst Michael's focus is on the right side, Franklin's is on the left. This shows a collision is about to occur. Speeding up is used to create comedic effects in this fight scene, making it look completely unrealistic whilst retaining the focus of the audience. It also may make the audience need to focus more on certain aspects to notice them. Freeze frames may allow a movie to stop at a certain frame to emphasize what is happening within by keeping the frame there for a certain amount of time, or by narrating it to give information verbally rather than visually. Slowing down is used here to emphasize the fight scene and every action taken during it. It allows an audience to appreciate every frame of the scene, as it will show just how many details there are. This focus on details will make them more obvious, which can either be positive or negative. The scene has only one camera shot, which can be used for many reasons. The reason why it is used here is to create an atmosphere of a cage, showing that Michael may feel trapped by his situation and the audience is stuck with him. Many aspects of the scene are not shown due to this, leaving the audience stuck in that one shot. The special effects are used in this scene to make it look unrealistic, create an atmosphere similar to that of either a comic book or old-style video game. This can be used to highlight the key aspects of the scene, which makes it more understandable why it is there. In conclusion, there are many advantages to using transitions as well as techniques. Editing requires them to highlight the main features of a picture, which could include the way how an audience should watch it.